Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network with Donald Eng. I'm Rob Adams. Seems like we've got the entire HAN Network support crew running the controls today. Happy they're over there. Jenny and Grant and Eric, the whole team on the other side today. So, and AJ's lingering around as well. Don, good to see you. How was your weekend?
It's a group effort. My weekend was great. We had Mother's Day. Maggie worked for Saturday night and Sunday night, so we had to scale back the brunch plans. And then on Saturday, I got to do some of the things I love doing the most. I got to get up at 4:30 in the morning. I got to stand by a pond in a steady drizzle. I got to impale some mealworms on hooks. Actually, I hate all those things. So it was
except for hanging out with your
lovely
daughter.
I got to hang out at a trout derby with Elizabeth, which is sort of sports related. And she got a third place trophy, 14-inch brown trout. So she was quite happy with herself. That one thing made just really the other three worth it. So what else can you say?
That's all you can do. Saturday, not so great. Some games did get played. Of course, baseball and softball continuing to pay the price. Tennis, of course, as well. But Sunday was absolutely glorious, though no games yesterday. But we're off and running today. We will have baseball later on today, and I am excited to go to the ballpark at Harbor Yard where we will be following this broadcast.
It's a great venue, and they're always so accommodating, and it's just, it's fun for the kids, and it's fun for us, too. It's just, it's got a great feel to it, and it's especially nice for us because we can get there early, and there's something about an empty baseball park that I just love. I love the echoes. I love the feel of being in a park when there's no one else there.
My friend, you are preaching to the choir. I mean, these guys all know from last year when we spent basically a week at Harbor Yard, I was just like in my glory. There were times I was just kind of walking around the field. I know there's a picture of me. I'd walked the entire warning track at one point, stood in dead center field, and yes, I'm guilty of taking the occasional selfie. I stood there and soaked it up for all it was worth. We'll have 4 games from the ballpark at Harbor Yard overall before it's all said and done throughout this month. This tonight at 5 o'clock, which will be Ward and Ludlow. Then we will be back for the FCAC semifinals later this month and the championship in the FCAC as well. So not enough for me. I could just keep working there. Just bring all the games into Harbor Yard. I'll just stay there and call them.
It'll be like Las Vegas. We'll just bring the touring games in and they play, and then next game.
I'm completely okay with this idea. This is kind of the fun opening to the show, and we will explain that later in the program. We will get to Athletes of the Week. We will name the winners for last week. We will name the nominees for this week. But we do start on a more serious, if not somber note. Some trouble going on at various and sundry games, including the Darien-New Canaan boys lacrosse game. Look, we were once kids, both of us. We get that kids are going to be kids. They're always going to try to have their fun. What you don't like, and I'm not advocating, going and drinking at sporting events. I'm not. What I am saying, more concerned, is that when there are teenagers being found unresponsive following a game, that's not good, obviously.
No, it's not. And in this case, it's strange because there were 2 teenagers apparently in non-related incidents found unresponsive. One of them hospitalized, one of them not, following the Darien-New Canaan lacrosse game April 30th. But certainly, a very serious situation. Now, luckily, they're apparently both going to be fine, or they both were fine relatively soon. But you can't stress enough just how the risk involved in something like this.
And always some of the best reporting in our chain comes from our friends down at the Darien Times. They took on these stories. Kevin Webb wrote one version of it, and our good friend and the mother of Annabelle and Lucy, Susan Schultz, is nice enough to join us for a few. Susan, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys today?
Doing all right. This obviously not a happy story, as we said in the opening, Susan. What can you tell us?
Basically it appears there were, 2 incidences of 2 teams that were found incapacitated after the game. The first story we got, and this was a little harder to get because there was no arrest, so it wasn't like the police gave it to us in the police report. So there were no arrests, but they found one male teen. I guess he was incapacitated. It looks like he was actually at the game. He told the police he did not drink at the game. He drank at a friend's house before the game. And basically, the police were called because he was on the grounds near the field and he needed attention. And then he was released to friends of the family because the family was out of town. And then the second incident was completely unrelated. It was a girl, I guess, that was found in the bathroom, and she was unresponsive to the point where she needed to be taken to the hospital. So, yeah, I mean, in both of these cases, these kids were kind of off on their own in the grounds of the field or in the bathroom and really needed help. And it's kind of scary to be doing that at a public event.
All three of us, of course, are parents, as I mentioned, you, Lucy, and Annabelle, of course, and, Don and I are both dads, so, this is frightening stuff, Don.
It really is, and, it's, and we were talking off the air that we're not sure, that, we're talking about this was a sporting event. Now, it's unclear if these incidents were connected to the sporting event, although they did happen in proximity to it, and and it tends to be, and so it could be certainly be a case of like group behavior or just people being, just kind of excited, about a game situation and getting a little bit carried away. And we were mentioning that we're hoping to have on a guest a little bit later on this week to talk about, this kind of like binge behavior at events like that. So that I'm certainly looking forward to that. It could be a fascinating topic.
Susan, what's kind of the town's take on this? Are you able to get a gauge for it?
Well, I mean, I think, in Darien, it hasn't been much talk, and maybe it's just simply because the teams were from New Canaan. So, certainly it's a neighbor, but they're going to take less of an interest because, they're going to say, well, it wasn't really one of ours. But I do think there's a certain, in my opinion, a little bit of more permissiveness when it comes to especially big sporting events. I mean, you certainly know that there's a lot of people that set up tailgating and stuff like that, and I don't know necessarily whether there's alcohol involved or not. There's probably not, but I just think there's a certain amount of more celebration, especially when it comes from a Darien New Canaan game of any kind of sport. So I don't know. Like I said, it hasn't been much talk because it's been, New Canaan teams, but, there's definitely, I feel like, a little bit more of a kids will be kids when it comes to big athletic events.
Well, Susan, you'd mentioned that this was a New Canaan teen that was found intoxicated at the Darien game, and in your story, it's kind of just a little comment about 4 paragraphs down. The teen told Darien police he had not been drinking alcohol at the game, but at a friend's house in New Canaan before the game. Now, the game was in Darien, and if these teens were drinking in New Canaan, that kind of points, in my mind anyway, toward another serious topic was, were they drinking and driving on their way to the game, which is something that I would be very concerned about, as a parent and as a sports fan.
I mean, I think that's a good point. I mean, and to be quite honest, I don't know who this kid is because he's underage, so they don't release the name. But, I got to say, I find it a little hard to believe, aside from the driving aspect, but that nothing alcoholic, was consumed from when he got there until after the game, and he was still incapacitated to the point where he was passed out in the woods. So, but yes, the drinking and driving aspect is definitely something to worry about as well. I think, generally, team drinking is not taken probably quite as seriously as it should be in these towns. And, you see it happen all the time. And, we get these police blotters and you get comments on your website that say, can't you leave these kids alone? They were drinking in a private house and stuff like that. And like you guys said, I agree, there's a certain amount of, kids will be kids. But on the other hand, when the police get involved, it's important to make sure that everyone understands the seriousness of this stuff.
And Susan, you wrote, how long ago was it now, about, another issue in Darien and about the heroin situation going on, not only in Darien, but it's really going on around the area. Not that I'm trying to put the two together, but I suppose to a certain extent, does it speak to a bigger problem?
I think it does, because I think, and I've done editorials over and over about various types of things like this where, I think it gets to the point where parents don't really take things really seriously until something really serious happens to them. I think they see these stories. We see young kids dying. It's getting almost to the point of weekly from, mysterious circumstances or possibly, overdoses or, and it's just, as many times as you can write the story, I think sometimes it just doesn't hit home until, it actually happens to someone. And, God forbid, hopefully it doesn't happen again soon. But unfortunately, the way news seems to be going, it's going to. So I do think it speaks to a bigger problem.
That never cut me off. No, I'm only kidding. We're talking with Susan Schultz, the editor of the Darien Times. Of course, the reporters Kevin Webb, Dan Arestia, who you've all heard You've heard at least Susan and Dan at one time or another on this program, among other places, and Kevin did the initial bit about the 18-year-old New Canaan resident. We're with you on Nutmeg Sports. One last thing for you, Susan, and you and I were kind of talking about it, and it's something that I think we should all take note of. I don't want us necessarily turning into Yankee Stadium where you've got to have wands and, x-ray machines and all, but are bag checks necessary? Is that next?
That's a good question, and I was wondering about that in this incident myself, and I don't know whether, like you and I were talking about, whether it's maybe worth it at larger games like the Turkey Bowl, but if this happens frequently, I can see, unfortunately, that's going to have to be the next step, because otherwise you got to protect these kids, and you got to protect the town and everybody else who attends these games. So I would not be shocked if that eventually happens.
As always, I know you're always good to come on at a moment's notice. Thanks for your time. We'll try to find some more fun sports stories to talk about, but great reporting by you guys as always.
Okay, thanks so much for having me.
All right, Susan, anytime. That's Susan Schultz, the editor of the Darien Times. Obviously a very serious story, nothing to make light of at all. Teen drinking is an issue, and we don't want to see this. It ties into sports. There is a sports tie here, unfortunately. Students getting excited for big sporting events, and I don't know that a bag check, by the way, is going to make much of a difference, because as someone who's gone to enough sporting events, and I've been to a few in my life, I hate to say it,
Where there's a will.
the beer is cheaper outside the stadium. When you get right down to it, this is the experience of watching what my friends would do, that you would go and you would tailgate in the parking lot. It's a reality.
It is a reality, an unfortunate reality. In this case, tying in with a local sporting event, and the silver lining is the kids are going to be okay, and you just hope that that this is the lesson learned, and that at least for them and their circle of friends, not a pattern of behavior likely to be repeated. So that's what you hope for, fingers crossed.
We're going to take a break here on Nutmeg Sports. We'll come back. We'll get into Athletes of the Week. We'll talk about some more fun stuff, including baseball coming up in just a few hours. But we're back right after this. You're watching Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Had a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or go to coastalorthoexpress.com. That's coastalorthoexpress.com. Like them on Facebook.
Do you need help reaching or maintaining your fitness goals? For over 20 years, Mike Pernice has tailored his time and expertise to clients on both coasts whose schedules demand flexibility and accountability. Mike is a certified lifestyle manager and has been called upon to help his clients eliminate negative behaviors such as coping with stress, improving their time management, setting realistic life goals, and cutting down compulsive behavior. If you're ready to start working toward a more energetic, productive, and healthier you, call Mike Pernice.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances, where community comes first, a place where there's more than one kind of interest, where automation will never replace consideration, where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
For more than 50 years, Triple S has been Fairfield County's expert service for carpet, upholstery, and drapery cleaning. We provide the best in repairs and in-depth restoration, understanding fabrics and how to properly clean and restore them. Our staff will come to your home to clean your wall-to-wall carpet to perfection. We can also pick up your fine carpets and bring them to our facilities. With locations in Norwalk, Stamford, and Stratford, Triple S will get the job done fast, big or small. At Triple S, you can count on our people as well as our cleaning.
Find us at triplesclean.com or 203-847-8000.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky. Join us for Coffee Break, weekdays at 11 to get the latest Connecticut news, weather, high school sports, and more. News doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break on the HAN Network.
as we come back from commercial, that was one of the most professional countdowns bringing us back to break I've ever heard.
Did you hear that? He counted down from 10 to 1 while he was queuing up photos.
I suppose credit to Eric Gendron for teaching Grant Weiler to do that. And when Jenny Schrenker gets in there, I'm telling you, dynamite. Dynamite work here today. Back with you on Nutmeg Sports. Again, thanks to Susan for coming on and talking with us, and also Kevin and Dan for their great work down in Darien. Let's turn now to Athletes of the Week. And Don, we can announce the winners from last week.
Yes, we start on the girls' side. Eve Greco, Wilton Lacrosse, with 627 votes in a runaway. Eve Greco, Wilton Lacrosse, is our girls' Athlete of the Week. Second place, Molly Keshen, New Canaan softball, and third, Kateri Martin, Darien tennis.
It was so close on the guys' side. Ben Schwaber of Staples Lacrosse does get the win with 379 votes. However, Ryan Cornell was just 13 votes back at 366. That's what we like from Athlete of the Week.
Every vote counts. Get on the web and vote.
That's it. There you go. So, and we want more votes. We like seeing the even bigger numbers, but we'll get back to that. All right, let's move on to this week. We start with the ladies. Don.
Yes, first nominee, Campbell Armstrong, New Canaan Lacrosse. She scored 5 goals in New Canaan's 13-12 win over Yorktown, New York on Saturday. The junior midfielder also had 4 goals in a 13-10 over Ludlow.
That's a quality win for the Rams to get that victory. Kay Condren of St. Joseph Lacrosse is up next. 5 goals and an assist for the Cadets in their 17-6 victory over West Hill. She had 3 goals and an assist when St. Joe's topped Kennedy Catholic 15-8 out of Somers, New York.
Ava Greco, once again, making the list of nominees. Wilton Lacrosse, she scored 5 goals for the Warriors as they doubled up Fairfield Ward 12-6. Wilton is 7-4 on the road.
We move on to Morgan Hickey of Wilton Golf. She had a round of 37 at Silvermine. That helped the Warriors to a 172-184 victory over Darien, a 12-stroke win for the Warriors. Morgan Hickey, who shot a 37, which is what I shoot on one hole. Don.
Chandler Kirby, Darien Lacrosse, had a game-high 6 points on 4 goals, 2 assists. The Blue Wave rolled to a 16-6 win over Greenwich.
Jen Krupa of Stanford Girls Lacrosse is up next. 5 goals. They topped West Hill 11-3 for the city championship, a second straight title for the Black Knights.
Ward softball pitcher Gabby Natoli, your next nominee. The Mustangs have won 6 straight with a 7-1 win over Stanford. Natoli pitched 5 innings, allowing 1 run, 2 hits, and striking out 4 at the plate. She scored 3 walks, scored 2 runs.
Up next is Gabby Perry from Staples. She went 3 for 5 with a home run, 2 runs scored, 4 RBIs. Staples defeated Norwalk 9-8. Her 2-run homer made it 9-6 in the top of the 7th.
Stanford pitcher Sarah Staley threw a 2-hitter as Stanford beat Norwich Free Academy 2-1 in 8 innings. Staley had the complete game with 1 walk and 4 strikeouts, shutting down NFA.
On to Sammy Stewart now of New Canaan Lacrosse. She filled the stat sheet as New Canaan handed the Tigers their first loss of the season from Ridgefield, 15-11. That was last week at Dunning Field. The senior midi collected 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 draw controls, 2 caused turnovers, 2 ground balls. She might have even driven the team bus. She was that good.
Yes, and then our final nominee, Nicole Williams. We talked about her last week. She threw a 2-hitter, striking out 13, and also hit a 2-run home run at the plate as the Cadets beat Ridgefield 11-0. The Cadets are 12-1.
She hit an absolute bomb up at Ridgefield last week. Funny to see her in that picture without the cap. Now the Cadets all wearing white caps. So pretty sharp looking. That's a good team right there. On to the guys we go. I'll get things started with Andrew Baratz of Fairfield Volleyball. 33 assists, 6 service points. The Mustangs knocked off Trumbull 3-2.
Staying with volleyball, Staples' Kenny Brill had 61 assists and 13 digs as the Wreckers upset Ridgefield 3-2. The Tigers swept Ridgefield. The Tigers had swept Ridgefield 3-0 in the team's first meeting.
Thang Dow of Trumbull Track and Field, 23 overall points, the most of any athlete in the competition, with first place finishes in the 100, 200, 4x100, and 4x400 in the Eagles' win over Greenwich and Ridgefield. By the way, his 200 time of 23.3 is one of the best so far in the FCAC this year.
Peter Dirth of Ridgefield Lacrosse is your next nominee. Scored 3 goals and assisted on the game winner in overtime as the Tigers won a thriller against rival Wilton 7-6. Dirth fired the pass to Skylar Blair for the winning goal, a minute 30 into overtime.
Good player. Michael Fanning of Staples Baseball is up next, back from injury. Hit a pair of homers, drove in 5. The Wreckers defeated Norwalk by a score of 10-2. And I'm telling you, FCAC baseball is just an up and down. We'll get to that a little bit later.
West Hill lacrosse player Will Hallett, your next nominee. 5 goals and an assist as the Vikings beat Bridgeport Central 14-0.
Hudson Hamill was a presence on the field in terms of passing, possessing, and defending as the Waves stayed perfect in boys lacrosse with a come-from-behind 8-7 win over St. Anthony's of New York last week. Darien, of course, remains perfect at 12-0, and I thought he really was. And sometimes it's not what you see on the stat sheet, it's what you do. And to the naked eye, Hudson Hamill had a great game last week.
Another Darien player with a great game, Tim Herget, volleyball player, had 17 kills, 12 service points, and 7 digs as the Blue Wave beat Fairfield 3-0. Darien is 13-1 on the season.
Staying with Darien lacrosse, Jack Niffen had a hat trick, and that helped Darien rally to beat St. Anthony 8-7 and stay unbeaten. He had 1 assist, setting up Kevin Lindley on the goal that tied the score at 7. By the way, 3 days later, Niffen added a hat trick, 11-5 over Ridgefield.
Ward pitcher John Natoli up next. He struck out 5, pitching the Mustangs to a 3-1 win over Stanford. With the win, Ward improved to 9-5 overall, 5-5 in the FCAC.
RJ Romeo of Wilton Lacrosse is our next nominee. 23 of 26 on face-offs. To lead the attack, the Warriors beat St. Joseph 17-9.
Max Theodorakis of Danbury Golf shot an even par 36 at the Brooklawn Country Club as the Hatters beat Fairfield Ward 165-178. That sounds strange to say.
It does.
The Hatters are 6-1.
A 13-shot win. That's what we always like to try to say, but sometimes tough to do on the fly. Matt Yellen of Trumbull Volleyball is our last nominee. He compiled 41 assists and had 18 digs. Trumbull rallied from a 2-1 deficit to defeat Greenwich 3-2. As always, get to voting at HAN.network. Find the athlete of the week. Do your voting there. That will stay with you all week. You can just keep voting until next Monday morning just after midnight. So basically, get those votes in before midnight Sunday and you're good to go.
School night.
Night.
No voting
Exactly.
until 15.
That's right. No voting unless you're us and, you know, staying up late and trying to figure out what you're talking about on Nutmeg Sports the next day. Why don't we take a break here on the show? We will come back. We will get going with some baseball stuff and send you on your way for a Monday edition as we roll through this show. It's Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Alberto Londano Professional Painting, Wallpapering, and Carpentry has been serving Fairfield County for over 20 years. Based in Norwalk, Alberto takes pride in his work by offering you only the best quality service and products. Call Alberto today to get a free estimate and be one step closer to a new and exciting home makeover. 203-866-9635.
For over 25 years, Mike Cizik Painting and Wallpapering has been the name to know for residential and commercial properties in Fairfield County. He uses only the top brands, including Benjamin Moore, for impeccable preparation and lasting quality. Call Mike now and receive $500 off any job over $7,000. Mike is currently accepting reservations for spring, so call him today at 203-770-8869 or 203-972-3310. For your custom painting, finishing, and staining needs, it's Mike Cizik.
I think what makes ONS special is that it has everything that makes academic medicine great. We have the fellowship-trained specialists, but we still bring the style and type of medicine that's indicative of a community practice.
We are all trained in our area of interest and expertise, so our patients see a doctor who specializes in their particular injury.
I did have 2 consults with major New York City hospitals, but I just felt that the care was best here. I was treated like a rock star. The surgery exceeded any expectations that I had.
I'm Denise DiGregoli, the host of The Drive on the HAN Network. Join me Tuesdays for some motivational, intelligent talk with a little humor as we visit with people who live their lives mindfully. Tune in to The Drive live on Tuesdays, 12:30, here on the HAN Network.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports for a Monday here on the HAN Network. I'm Rob, that's Don, or Donald. as we move along with you on this edition of the show. And we've got baseball coming up later on. Before we get to baseball, I want to stay with this for just an extra second. We hope to have Chris Watts on the show today. We weren't able to connect. We will hopefully get him. He has stepped away from the basketball job, the boys basketball job at St. Joseph. He's going to take the boys basketball job at Notre Dame of Fairfield. There seems to be some, I don't know if hard feelings are the right word, but confusing feelings.
There really are. And, and so, of course, Watts with the long history with St. Joseph, playing there and then assistant coaching there and then being the head coach there for the last 4 years, it seems like it was kind of a sudden decision to go take over the program at Notre Dame. I'm just kind of curious about the reasons why. I'm also curious about some of the comments I've seen in print from him, and so hopefully we get him on and just talk some basketball and this next phase in his coaching career.
Yeah, happy to have him on. Hopefully we will get him. Like I said, there seems to be something underneath, but I thought he was in a very tough spot. Stepping in for Vito Montelli, he is a St. Joe's guy to begin with, and then, players weren't keeping the same, I don't know if quality of player is fair to say, but it was a different quality of player. Whatever the case, it didn't quite work for whatever reason. This might be best for everyone. Bottom line is, I'd love to hear from the parties involved and be able to talk about it.
As they say, it's hard to replace the man. You kind of want to be the man that replaces the man that replaces the man.
I agree. Chris is a nice guy. I've talked to him and interviewed him a couple of times, so like I said, I'm very confident we will get him on the show. 2 seconds, by the way, on Tyler Matakevich. Another guy we're going to get on the show. He wants to do it, but he's at rookie training camp with the Steelers in Pennsylvania. They actually have an interview with him. I tweeted it over the weekend, but if you haven't seen it, go to Steelers.com, and there's a good interview with Tyler Matakevich, who his thing is going to be always about kind of beating expectations. People don't think he's going to make it. They didn't think he'd make it in high school. They didn't think he'd make it at college, and now here he is in the NFL. Same story. He wants to make sure he can prove people wrong.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was looking at the scouting report from him from his Pee Wee football days, and it said, good player, but kind of small, kind of slow. Don't know if he can do it, in the senior midget division of Pop Warner. So we'll see. He's been proving him wrong for a long time.
And you'll see in that interview, go watch it at Steelers.com. He comes off as just the nicest guy. We've had him on the show back in our radio days. We'll get him in here and chat with him again. To baseball we go. As we said, we're going to the ballpark at Harbor Yard, really right after we turn the lights off here. We will have Fairfield Ward and Fairfield Ludlow at 5 o'clock. Excited to have both the guys with me. Justin Galanti and Dan Gardella will be with me for the call. Exciting to be back there. The matchup between the two, and you get a look at the standings right now, so should be a good time down there. But right now it's Darienne's FCAC by a game over Trumbull and Norwalk. Trumbull and Norwalk have both played very well this year, and as I mentioned this last week, the Greenwich Cardinals starting to make a big play as you look at the standings, Don.
Greenwich is making a play. They have Danbury today. Danbury at 7-4, number 6 in the FCAC. Greenwich in 4th place. Greenwich can move themselves into a tie with Trumbull and Norwalk, pending today's results, with a win today over Danbury. And of course, Danbury 7-4. They're trying to secure their own playoff spot.
So that will be coming up later on today, the Battle of Fairfield between Ward and Ludlow. And, of course, with the FCAC Tour, we had the opportunity to talk with really all the teams around the conference, and that's just about the way we're going to end the show. But back with you tomorrow.
I'll see you then. Looking forward to it.
We'll do it then, but thanks to everyone on the other side. I mentioned Grant and Jenny, and of course Eric over there as well. Thanks to Susan Schultz for coming on and talking with us. But we'll get to these interviews, our FCAC Tour chats from the HAN Cruiser with both the Fairfield Ward Mustangs and the Fairfield Ludlow Falcons. For Donald Eng, I'm Rob Adams. Enjoy the interviews. We'll see you later for baseball at Harbor Yard and right back here tomorrow on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. We are with members of the Fairfield Ludlow baseball team at the aforementioned Fairfield Ludlow High School, not to be confused with Fairfield Ward. With Bill Bloxham, I'm Rob Adams. On the HAN Network, the FCAC Tour continues. Can't say the W word around these parts. We'll let these guys introduce themselves and we'll talk some baseball. What's your name?
Patrick Calabres.
Sean Gutierrez.
Patrick, first for you, we're all fascinated. What is this sacrifice that you guys do?
We have 3 baseball gods. Ood, what is the name? Quan, who is the god of base running. Ood is basically the head god, right?
Yeah, head god.
And then we have one unnamed baseball god that we're going to name this year. And yesterday we had a ritual where each team brought in a sacrifice, mostly mementos from their earlier baseball careers, to bring us good luck this year.
Those are my kind of gods, Bill. I'm okay with this.
CJ, with those type of gods, and obviously their rivalry, but a lot of you guys started out playing with each other in the younger leagues and stuff. What is that like? Does it make a more friendly competition between you and that other school?
Yeah, Ward's obviously a really good team, but this year it seems more than ever the rivalry games we've had with them across all sports have gotten a lot of fans there, and they've been really competitive games. So, Ward's just a really good team this year, and I think a lot of people are underestimating us this year, so I think it would be good for us to go out there and give them a run for their money.
Talk about going to Harbor Yard. It's got to be a lot of fun. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a great crowd, the parents, friends, family, and under the lights, it's usually, a lot of fun, and it's a great way to get out there and just do what we love, play baseball, have fun, and have a good time.
That is a game we will broadcast here on the HAN Network as well when Ward plays Ludlow. You made a note of the team picture. Why?
Ever since freshman year, Cal's dog, we lift we lift her up in every team photo, and I don't know why we do it. She's just always there when we take team photos, but it's just a funny thing that we like to continue.
What's the strength of this team?
I think it's got to be our hitting. We're really consistent from bottom to top, I think, this year. And also I feel like the X factor is our pitching. A lot of people don't expect us to necessarily have a strong pitching staff, but we believe in them.
CJ, keeping things loose, how important is that, with a baseball family like you guys have?
Yeah, this year we just really want to have more fun and, really be more of a team. We felt that last year we kind of lost that team dynamic. So, this year we brought back the sacrifices to the baseball gods. We're trying to keep things fun. So, hopefully that keeps us playing well.
There you go.
I love the baseball god part.
I do like
you have a wizard also? What is that?
We have a certified wizard on the team. One of our players, a returning varsity player, Michael Bernstein, he is a wizard. He's convinced he's a wizard, and we believe in him because he has cast spells in the past.
It's not a joke. It's true.
We're going to find out more about that as the season goes along. I'm very confident.
I'm scared a little bit myself.
A little bit as well. Well, they were all dressed to they were all dressed for a game today, but as we sit here taping at Fairfield Ludlow, not going to happen today from the looks of it. So, but we will see you guys have a great season.
Thank you.
Wish these guys well, especially anyone with a Bugs Bunny tie is a friend of mine. So, thanks to these guys for coming out and joining us. Best of luck to them. We're talking baseball at Fairfield Ludlow High School on the HAN Network. We've done a lot of baseball interviews, and one team that keeps coming up, Fairfield Ward. We're with the Mustangs at Fairfield Ward High School on the HAN Network and inside the HAN Cruiser. I'm Rob Adams. We'll let these guys introduce themselves, and we'll talk some baseball. What's your name?
John Natoli.
Reese Maniscalco.
Head coach Brett Connor.
John, let me start with you. First of all, you're going to go to Cornell. Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Why Cornell, and what made you want to go there?
Well, I've always wanted to play Ivy League baseball, and it was just a great fit. They have a new coach coming in from Clemson. He's a really great guy. And really, I just went up, loved the school, loved the baseball program. That was great for me.
You guys, much like Staples, have a bit of a target on you this year. You're seen as one of the big teams. Is that something that bothers you? You like to be under the radar? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. We have to it puts pressure on us to really come out and bring our A game every single day, and I think we're up to the challenge.
Reese, you've been on this team a couple of years as well. Where are you going to go to college?
I'm going to Wofford College in South Carolina next year to play baseball.
And why Wofford?
I just chose it because I really like the coaching staff. I like the school a lot, and I wanted to play in the South, get out of this cold weather.
It's good to get down there and be in that warmer weather. You can play baseball nice and early. What's this fun fact you've told us? Give me an idea of what's going on there.
I haven't cut my hair since August.
Is this just a good luck thing or why?
Well, we won FCX my sophomore year, and I had long hair then, so. And we didn't win last year, and I had short hair, so I figured it's got to be the hair.
Now, you not only play first base, but you pitch. Tell me about being a pitcher, and I don't want you to give me your entire arsenal, but give me an idea of what you throw.
I throw fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. And being a pitcher on this team is awesome because we're just like a really close staff, and Coach Connor's like a specialized, like he's our head coach, but really he's a good pitching coach also. So
Yeah.
it's really nice to be able to pitch for this team.
When you have an arsenal of 4 pitches like that, is there something that you're able to highlight more? What are you most comfortable with?
I'm comfortable. I like throwing my fastball a lot, but different counts call for different pitches,
Yeah.
and I feel comfortable mixing in anything.
Absolutely. Coach, over to you. Kind of the same question. You know, this group seems like they've got a target. Staples looks so good as well. Where do you guys see yourselves, and, you know, what's your philosophy coming into this year?
I think we're up there in the conference for sure. We definitely have a target on our back. These kids work extremely hard during the offseason. They bought into our strength and conditioning program. They were down at a local baseball facility working out, doing a great job all off-season, working hard 5 days a week. So, you know, a lot of credit to them. They bought into it, and hopefully it all pays off this season. But, you know, the good thing about this team is not only are they great baseball players, but they're great kids too, and they're really special to me. So,
John, you know, I ask so many teams in any sport, what's the goal? And I often hear, well, it's states, it's FCX. But if you guys aren't at Harbor Yard playing in a conference title game, does that mean it's not a good season? You know, kind of how would you set your goal for the year?
I think we're good enough to win states, win FCX. I think it will be somewhat of a disappointment if we don't get there, but we'll see how the season turns out. I'm really confident in our team.
Is there a particular game that you're looking at on the schedule that you can't wait for that one?
I mean, every game's important, really. We want to really play well against every single team.
That being said, Reese, you guys will be at Harbor Yard at least once because you get your crosstown rival, right?
Yeah, that's always a fun game, but I mean, it's just one game. It's the same
Absolutely.
as every other game, so we're just going to play it like that and play every inning one at a time.
Well, that's a game we're planning on being at as well. I mean, being in the big ballpark and then seeing all of you because it's a great turnout that night, Coach. I mean, there's always a good turnout for that game.
yeah, you know, the community has really bought into this game, you know, with the local Little League, Fairfield National, Fairfield American, you know, having all those kids come, and then the school spirit here at Ward is just tremendous as well. You know, all the students love the baseball team and coming out and supporting us, and, you know, the faculty has been great too. So we're really looking forward to that game and having everybody, you know, enjoy a night for Fairfield. You know.
Well, have a great season, you guys. We'll be out there for that game, and we'll see you guys a couple of times throughout the season. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Nice to see them all as we talk baseball here. We're with the Fairfield Ward Mustangs on the HAN Network.